for a living, Miss Bennett?
Well, see, I live a little bit of a charmed life. My mom and my papa, they both gone to be with the Lord. It's just me now. So they left a lot of money from making films in the film industry. Don't ask me what kind of films. But mostly I do a little painting and gardening, you know. It's just me and my dog Peaches. Hi, Peaches. How you doing? Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Where do you live?
I live at 5234 Canyon Road, Midlands and Midlands, the prettiest piece of land in heaven.
Tell us more about Canyon Road, Miss Bennett.
Well, like I said, it's got the best view of all Midlands. It's nice and quiet, you know, but that road, that actual canyon road, it's a little dangerous.
Why is it dangerous?
Well, mostly because it drops down to a 2-lane, it's getting real narrow, and it curves around, and people are always driving real fast. It's not a lot of traffic, but the traffic there is, they take it like an Autobahn. And, well, the guardrail doesn't go all the way around all that time, so, yeah, it gets a little hairy.
Why are you here, Miss Bennett?
Well, unfortunately, September 24th, 2010, me and my dog Peaches, we had a front row seat to everything that happened that night.
Tell us about what happened September 24th.
Well, there was supposed to be a storm, you know, and so, like I said, I'm a painter. I'm no Picasso, but I do all right. And I wanted to get just the exact color of a water on the wet road. So Peaches and I and Beauregard, that's his shotgun, we set up to watch the event till the night. And I tell you, it was an event, all right.
Did it rain that evening?
Good Lord, did it ever? At first, it rained for about 30 minutes, just a little drizzle, you know. Then the heavens opened up like my Aunt Cora May getting in a tub of water. Lord, she's a heavy woman, you know. Water everywhere, everywhere. Oh, it was a sight.
What happened next?
Well, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, Peaches, she just starts cutting up and barking. So I grabbed Beauregard, because you never can be too careful with a package like this. Needless to say, I look up, it's a car come flying around the road like a bat straight out of hell. I screamed at him to slow down, but, oh, it was too late.
Did the vehicle slow down?
No, ma'am, they didn't. And I was yelling, slow down! But they wouldn't. Probably couldn't hear me, you know, because of the rain and all. Next thing I know, that sucker jerked one way and then started spinning, smacked right into a tree. Lord of mercy.
What did you do?
Well, the first thing I did was I went and I called 911, you know, and I told them to get down there because there had been a bad accident.
Now, Miss Bennett, when the car swerved off the road, did you see anything in the road that could have caused the collision?
No, ma'am, I didn't see anything but a fool driving like a drunk monkey with Satan's pitchfork inside.
Objection,
That's
Your
all.
Honor. Speculative.
Which part of the statement in particular?
At what point did she know that the driver was driving like a drunk monkey?
She's a lay witness and she's giving her perception of what happened the evening, Your Honor.
It does sound like she's giving her opinion of the events.
It's speculative because she is speculating whether or not the driver was drunk.
It's borderline. Please let us know what you saw and whatnot. But in general, you know, keep your opinions to yourself unless specifically asked about it.
Certainly, sure.
Miss Bennett, after you dialed 911, what did you do next?
Well, I ran on down there to see if I could help anybody. I didn't expect to find a soul alive, you understand? Because, oh, it was horrible.
What did you find?
Well, when I got down there, I finally saw that Danny Dawson wandering around muttering to himself, oh my God. I didn't know what to make of him when he was just walking around, and oh, that wreck was horrible.
What did you do?
Well, I asked him if it was okay, and he said something about Vanessa's fine or whatever, and just kept saying she's got to be all right. I left him be. I heard someone screaming, so I ran on over to the car.
What did you find when you approached the vehicle?
Well, I got there and I looked in the back seat, and that's when my heart like to stop. I saw that Taylor Hobson in there, and see, I've known her since the family moved here. My papa does a little work on my land sometimes, But she was all right. She was stirring and crying and everything. I looked in that front seat at Vanessa. It was sad.
Was she okay?
I can't rightly say she was, ma'am, because she wasn't moving and everything. I put my hand on her nose to see if she was breathing. I couldn't feel nothing. She wouldn't respond to no kind of shaking or anything like that. Oh, it looked so bad.
What did Danny Dawson do at this point?
Well, he was still wandering around. He said she just talked to her pa and she had to be all right. If not, you know, his life was over. Said something about he shouldn't have been driving when he knew he was tipsy. Next thing I know, paramedics were coming.
What happened next?
Well, they came, you know, the paramedics and that fine Officer Foster. They all came down there and they tried to get Vanessa going and stuff, but she didn't make it.
No further questions at this time.
Cross-examination?
Yes, sir. Now, Ms. Bennett, you stated earlier that you saw no obstruction in the road. Is that correct?
That's right, I didn't see anything down there.
But you also stated that the road was unlit.
It's unlit, but you can see, I can see the road, see my house is up high. I have the best view of Canyon Road of anybody there.
But the road is unlit.
It's unlit, yes, sir.
Was it raining hard, as you said?
It was raining buckets, yes, sir.
And it was very dark outside.
It was dark except for the car lights.
And you were also focused on painting, is that correct?
Well, I was watching the rain so that I could paint what I saw.
When you watch the rain, do you look to the sky or to the road?
Well, looks all around, you know, rain comes down, you know, Satan's looking up.
So you're looking everywhere.
I was looking everywhere because I wanted to paint a wet road, so I was looking towards the road.
But you weren't focused on the spot where the deer may have appeared, were you?
I ain't seen no deer, but no, sir, I was focused on the road, and that's how I saw the car.
Did the conditions that you just described impact the visibility?
Don't know about visibility. I know what I saw. I saw a car, and then I saw the red.
Well, let me clarify. Did those conditions get in the way of you seeing the road well?
I don't think so. I saw the car, I saw the road, I saw the red. That's all I can got.
Could you see the road better if it was sunny outside and there was no rain whatsoever?
Well, sure, Sugar, couldn't you?
Sure. The question is, did you see it as well that night?
Of course not. It was night and it was raining.
Now, you also stated, and I believe I wrote this down, that drivers take it, being the road, like the Autobahn. Is that correct?
I said that,
Do most of them make it?
Most of them make it on a bright sunny day, sure.
So, in fact, people take this road quickly, very fast, all the time, and they come out just fine.
They come out except for those two kids that got killed a couple years ago. Lord, that was a mess.
Now, you also stated that in your affidavit that you swore to, and you understood that Mr. Dawson was stumbling around the car after the wreck. Is that correct?
He was walking around muttering to himself, yes, sir.
And you've seen drunken people before. Is that correct?
I've seen plenty of drunken people. I lived in the South, honey.
Did he appear to be intoxicated to you?
Well, I rightly say so, but after you smack a tree like that, it'll be sober you up or kill you. We got a little both, didn't we?
In fact, in your affidavit, Your Honor, may I approach the witness with her statement after I approach the opposing counsel?
You're gonna draw testimony out from her affidavit?
Yes.
All right, ask her about it, and if there's any inconsistencies, then certainly use her affidavit. But if there are no inconsistencies, it would be better to draw the testimony from the witness.
Okay.
Affidavits aren't evidence, so don't specifically refer to it. Just ask her a question, and if she differs from something she said in the past, then certainly point that out.
Okay. Now, you just now said that it might have been a little bit of both. Is that correct?
No, I said, you asked me, did he appear drunk?
Yes.
And I said, well, he could have been sober. If he smacked a tree like that, he'll either kill you or sober you up.
Okay, but you have no way of knowing whether or not he was drunk before.
No, sir, I didn't see him until after he hit that tree.
And after the collision, he did not appear intoxicated to you. Is that correct?
I couldn't say he did. Like I said, he was just walking around muttering to himself.
It's a yes or no question.
No, I can't say he did. He was just walking around muttering to himself.
Okay. Now, you also filed a complaint about how far the guardrail extended around that road. Is that true?
I set up a petition after those kids got killed and all.
Objection. Silence.
Your Honor, we're trying to establish that the conditions once a car went off the road were dangerous, which caused the death, rather than any sort of recklessness.
After the fact.
I would say that the road conditions certainly are relevant to this use. So,
Was there a guardrail in place that night?
It doesn't go all the way around, no, sir.
So they didn't listen to you?
No, they didn't listen to me at all.
Okay. Well, that is all I have. Thank you.
You will.
any redirect? You are excused. Are there any other witnesses for the prosecution?
Are we gonna,
Is there any critique from the picnic gallery?
would you like to go first, Your Honor?
R10, there was a lot of hearsay in that, most of which would probably come in, but at least object once so that I know that you know that it's there.
Oh, okay.
And make me make a ruling if you object. On your first objection, I never made a ruling. So there's nothing in the record to appeal later on, so.
Okay.
And if a judge does that by mistake, just very politely, Your Honor, I'd ask that you make a ruling one way or the other on that. But usually that won't be an issue. And then there are several content things, but they don't benefit everybody, so I'm not gonna waste time. I'll get with you personally. Direct? Yeah, it's a direct. The witness was the star. That's the point. So good job.
Okay. On direct examination, Rachel, the suggestion I'd make for you is try to act a little bit like this first time you've ever heard the answers. You know, react a little bit more to, it's okay if she has this funny line for you to smile. I would say on the other hand, at the very end of the direct, I caught a little bit of a smile after she said she died, and maybe you didn't intend to do that, or maybe I wasn't, you know. I would say at the very end, when she said, but she didn't make it, give a pause. Y'all use pauses to your advantage to let the situation sink in. You know, I know it, you know, you have the tendency to go fast if you're up there, you're nervous, but think about what would be the best point where I would want to pause and let whatever they just said sink in. I'd say on the objection, instead you said perception, that's good. I throw in rational perception just to make the point that we're drawing up for Rule 701. I think we may have talked about this. On cross-examination, there's a lot of stylistic thing. The major suggestion I have for you, R10, is go ahead and just elicit the facts, but don't, let the jury draw their own conclusions about, you know. So you weren't looking directly at the road all the time, were you? No. Okay, then move on. You don't ask the opinion of the witness, so you don't know whether the deer could have been out there or not, or you don't know whether he was drunk or not. Don't ask the witness that opinion. You say, you never noticed him stutter, you never noticed his slurred word, you never noticed him stumbling, and let the jury draw their own conclusion. If you can get that from the affidavit. But that's the main thing I had. Just don't ask for the opinion. The past accidents and death is a double-edged sword, I think, for both sides, but we'll get into that later.
I've got a couple things. For the direct, it was right where it needs to be. It was, I don't have anything to add to it from what they said. For cross, R10, when you made the objection during the direct, I may not have been looking at you right, but I thought I saw you object, and then before you made a ruling, you sat back down and you stood up again. When you make an objection, stay standing until the judge makes a ruling, so that way, because you're going to have to respond to what they say again or something like that. And then when you cross, this is kind of an awkward venue in relation to the ones you're going to be competing in, but stay on the opposite side from the side you direct on. That way, the attention is on you and the witness is looking away from the judge. And it helps you control the witness a bit more. And try to ask a few less open-ended questions. I heard a lot of questions like, did you or could you? Try to ask it more leading. And like, basically you say what you, like you make the statement and then you can end it with didn't you or couldn't you or something like that. I didn't have any specific questions that you asked in here, but other than that, good job, guys.
One last thing is for everybody who's crossing today. We cross-examine, so when you direct, you want it to stand over here so the witness can look at the judge. All witnesses look at the judge when you're giving your answer. So you're the attorney, so you're kind of in the background. This is going to be difficult for the judge or the fact finder, whoever is trying the case, to see you. If you're on cross-examination, you're the star. So you're going to be in a position where it's easy for the jury or the judge to see you, and you're going to be in a position where it's difficult for the witness to look at you and look back at the fact finder, whichever it is. If it's a jury, it's different, but for the purposes today, directs from over here, crosses back here.
You want to move the easel so they have more room to stand over there? Or I think it's okay.
All right, prosecution, call your next witness.
Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call Ms. Taylor Hobson.
Taylor Hobson.
May I proceed? Ms. Hobson, please introduce yourself to the court, spelling your last name for the record.
My name is Taylor Hobson, that's Hopson.
And did you know Ms. Vanessa Sullivan?
Yes, of course, we were the best of friends.
And how did you two meet?
Well, I was 8 years old when my family moved into Vanessa's neighborhood. I was outside in the backyard singing and dancing to one of NSYNC's songs at the time because they were one of my favorite bands. And Vanessa came and joined me. Ever since then, we've pretty much been inseparable.
And did you two continue to stay close?
We did, yes, until Vanessa went off to Calkins College. That's where I was supposed to go too, but my family couldn't really afford it. So I went to Midland Center University instead. But we always talked on the phone. It just wasn't the same as hanging out. But that's why we were so excited about Vanessa's 21st birthday party, because she was coming back into town that night. I just kind of wish that she hadn't invited Danny.
And who is Danny?
Danny was this guy in some of Vanessa's classes.
Can you tell us about the night of the 24th?
Yes, that night, Danny was supposed to be the designated driver, and Vanessa and I were supposed to arrive at Chuggy's Sports Bar at 7 p.m.
And what happened after you got to the bar?
Well, when we got there, I saw that Danny was already there, and I wanted to make sure that he was still going to be the designated driver that night, so I talked to him about it.
And what did the defendant say?
He just said, don't worry about it.
Hearsay. And Ms. Fuller, party opponent?
Is it hearsay? So you're saying it's an exception to the hearsay rule because it's an admission by party opponent?
Yes,
Or are you
sir.
saying that it's not hearsay altogether? It's a 50-50 chance. Either way, it is a statement by party opponent. I'll give you that. What do you have to say to that? Would you stand behind your objection? Overruled.
And what happened next, Ms. Hobson?
Well, after that, Danny got behind the driver's wheel, and Vanessa got in the passenger seat, and I got in the back seat.
And what road specifically did you take?
Well, Danny wanted to avoid the cops, so we took the only back road available, Canyon Road.
And can you describe Canyon Road to us?
Canyon Road is really dark because there aren't that many lights on it, and the guardrails stop, and there's a lot of trees. It's really dangerous.
So you were going down a dangerous road. What did you do?
Well, we were getting close to the big turn on the curve, on the hill. And in high school, me and Vanessa knew a couple of friends that had died on this spot. That's why we called it the death zone.
Objection, Your Honor. If I may object on behalf of I object to death zone as first irrelevant because there's no testimony establishing that Mr. Dawson, whose state of mind is at issue in this case, knew that this was a death zone or knew how dangerous this road was. Foundation for that has not been laid. Second, Your Honor, this is unfairly prejudicial under Rule 403. More specifically, the danger of unfair prejudice substantially outweighs the probative value.
Now, as the pseudo-defense attorney, wouldn't you want the reputation of the road as being very dangerous because it helps establish that Danny was a victim of circumstance rather than his own actions?
Your Honor, the name of the road doesn't have any relevance to that, so no.
All right, we'll figure it out. But, no, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Death zone goes both ways, and Ms. Jeter and I have discussed that, and it kind of establishes that the road is very dangerous, and so that Danny